This is the Chilean earthquake of 2010. On February 27, 2010, a 8.8 magnitude earthquake occurred off the coast of central Chile in South America. This was caused by a rupture of a 300-mile-long fault line that separates the South American plate from the subducting Nazca plate. It was found that this was caused by a water pressure built up between the two plates, which acted as a catalyst to speed up this reaction. These large aftershocks occurred in response to tensions being redistributed to different parts of the fault following the earthquake, and this was shown in the March 10th earthquake in 2011, which triggered a tsunami. So this is the city before the destruction. Over 500 deaths were reported, and 2 million people were directly affected. Initially, it was reported that over 800 people had died, but after further research and finding missing people who were reunited with their families, the death toll went down to 500. Many buildings were damaged from this, especially in the zone of the earthquake, but there was a huge reduction in the loss of life due to how the buildings were built due to prior earthquakes that occurred in 1960 and the 1990s. Nearly 400,000 homes were affected and millions of people were displaced. The two cities that were the most affected were Male and Bibbio. So this is another photo of Chile in the mountains. More human life, more human impact. So many people were left without jobs and food, which led to looting. In response, the Chilean president arranged for food retailers to distribute necessities free of charge, but due to further looting of non-necessities, this was really hard to do. There was also large political unrest because this happened during an election year. So the incumbent president was voted out of office and a new leader was elected during this time of rebuilding. Another thing, economically, copper production was affected, which is a big part of their economy. So many people went, of course, without money, without pay, and without food. So here is a graphic of a subducting plate. So this is what caused such a devastating earthquake, is this subducting plate going underneath this plate right here, which caused the 8.8 magnitude earthquake, which also caused tsunamis and subsequent aftershock earthquakes, which were over a 5 magnitude. So environmental impact. This caused many aftershocks, and some of the tsunamis waves reached over 50 feet, and these tsunamis were felt off of the coast of California, Japan, New Zealand, and Hawaii, although these tsunamis weren't as devastating and they weren't as big since they traveled a further distance. The tsunamis that occurred off the coast of Chile were pretty devastating. The water was extremely contaminated due to the damaged sewage treatment, which was already an issue prior to this earthquake, so it just kind of exacerbated this issue. It also affected the shoreline and the ocean floor, which a lot of people, their livelihoods depended on fishing. So many fisheries and like fishermen were out of work due to this earthquake. So here, this is just where the earthquake occurred, and then this is how far the aftershocks and the tsunamis traveled. As you can see, the closer it is to the epicenter of the earthquake, the more severe that tsunami was and the aftershock was, and then the further away, they're much more calm. So a lot of wildlife was affected and were displaced, especially with rebuilding the homes. This had to, in order to make place for these homes, they had to cut down more trees. And it also created a domino effect of smaller earthquakes that traveled pretty far. And then I thought it was interesting that a NASA computer model ascertained that the powerful force of the subducting plate had shifted Earth's axis sufficiently to shorten the day by more than a microsecond. So I thought that was very interesting. So right here it shows Chile is right here. Here's the South American plate and the Nazca plate. And this subducting Nazca plate is what caused that great earthquake. So some fun facts. This was the first direct evidence that earthquakes could trigger secondary seismic events in the Antarctic ice sheets, which I thought was really cool. They were able to rebuild pretty fast. By June, more than 50,000 provisional homes had been made. And this was pretty sad that many of the coastal areas still struggled to recover from the damage to the fishing and tourism industries. And in 2014, there was an 8.2 magnitude earthquake that occurred, and over 500,000 lives were saved due to evacuation drills that were implemented after this 2010 earthquake. Then here are my sources, and none of these images are mine.